So in today's video, we're going to be counting down the absolute best rackets and strings of 2023. So here are the requirements to be featured in today's video. First, that racket must have come out this year in 2023. I also must have tried it. That doesn't necessarily mean I've posted a full video review on this product, but I have to have tried it before I can say that it's best. 3, okay, there's no 3, but I'm also going to tell you what I think is the worst release of the year, because I think that's funny and I think this one's actually going to surprise a lot of you. It's a pretty spicy take. For this video, we're going to break things down into categories. So it's going to be best spin, best control, best power, and so on. And then of course at the end, we're going to have the best overall. So first, let's start off with control. So of course, the best overall control-oriented racket of 2023 definitely isn't the Head Gravity Pro. It's just way too muted and simply a downgrade from previous versions. It's also definitely not the Percept 97 because that racket just sucks. It has no power, it just sucks. Honestly, the best control racket might be another Yonex, the VCore 95. Great feel, decently connected, pretty small head size, so you retain that very precise feel on contact. But the thing is, as a package, I'm just not sure the VCore 95 is that precise. I don't think it pushes things far enough. Sure, it's the easiest 95 score inch racket to use, probably of all time, but with that ease of use comes a certain pedestrian feel. It's too accessible, too easy to really give you that raw, unforgiving performance that forces the user to remain dialed in on every shot. For me, in 2023, there was one racket that kept me more connected to the ball than anything else. There was one racket which forced me to raise my game to the level of that racket. And that racket was the Wilson Pro Staff 97 V14. The Pro Staff 97 is a great all-around performer, offering big spin and power and great feel considering how much control you get from that stiffer layup in a 97 score inch package. There's just no shot this racket can't hit if you're disciplined enough with your footwork, and it's a racket that makes you want to stay disciplined on every shot. And I think a lot of people give this Pro Staff an extra boost because it is a Pro Staff, it's associated with Federer, and because of that, I find the Pro Staff to be actually rather uncool. Growing up in the past 10, 15 years, for me, it was all the people who pretended that their game was around Federer and who loved Federer all used the Pro Staff in a way that I thought was very uncool, and I think it's uncool to this day, and so I think the Pro Staff 97 is still an uncool racket, but it's also a really damn good racket for 2023. So the best control string, this one's pretty tough for me, and here's why. You want something that's super connected, great depth control, great string bed predictability. And if you watched my recent Grapplesnake Paradox Pro review, you're probably thinking that string has got to win. And I think logically, it probably does win. It offers great control. But how can I really pick a string that did so much damage to my arm to win a category? On the other hand, what other new strings have I really tried this year that offer great control? I haven't tried Razor Code Soft. I feel like that could have easily won, but I just didn't try it. Then it hit me. One of my favorite string tests of the year was a video that I kept only for members to watch. We do have a membership page if you didn't know. So because that was only for members, I kind of forgot about it, and that string was Head Hawk Power. It was kind of quiet on the release because they had some issues with their factory, but I think the hitting feel on this string is just amazing. Super connected to the ball, very ALU power in the way that it's connected, and you get that obvious kind of copycat with the naming convention, but it has more of this Polytour Pro-ness. It's plush, it's almost plasticky and muted despite that great connection to the ball, so you get a great dwell time feeling that ball sink into the string bed, which I think improves comfort over a few of the other ALU power knockoffs, but also you get just a little bit more like grab around the ball, which I really like. The profile of the string is also round, which is always great for control. You get a little bit more predictable of a launch angle, and the directional control is quite solid. The downsides, the tension maintenance, could be better for sure. It plays well after it's dropped, but it doesn't play the same as soon as you string it in. It definitely kind of changes its characteristics over time. The other thing that's a bit frustrating is there appears to be like a pretty soft coating on it, so it kind of dents quickly once it's worn in, but for the first 3-4 hours of play, I think it's amazing, and it was a super fun string to hit with. So okay, so now on to power, which is again a little bit of a tricky one. We didn't get any power rackets come out new this year. No pure drive, no boom, no E-zone, but none of that really even matters because I actually think this racket is better than all of them combined. Less muted feel than the E-zone or the pure drive, best in class stability due to just frankly a massive twist weight. It's got a shockingly good comfort due to a very innovative grommet design, and it's endorsed by one of the the best looking British man on tour, Jack Draper. The Dunlop FX 500 has got to be my #1 biggest surprise of the year. And it's probably a surprise for some of you too, because almost nobody watched my review on this racket, and I have to say, you're just all sleeping on Dunlop, and this is your last warning. Anytime I turn on Winston Du's channel, he's showing like 2 semi-pro children just slapping 100-mile-an-hour forehands, and they're using Dunlop rackets.
This is Dunlop FX 500 Tour.
It's the Dunlop FX 500, the normal version.
Kind of reminds me of how Yonex used to sponsor a bunch of junior players like 10-15 years ago, back when we were all sleeping on Yonex. But now, today, there's like no hotter brand than Yonex. So right now, I think Dunlop does offer like one of the best control feel lines in the CXs, and with the FX 500, I think they're winning the 100 square inch power racket segment as well. I really hope they can fix their SX line, but that remains to be seen. So for power strings, I'm not gonna waste any time. I think the best one of the year is Restring Zero. It's incredibly easy to just rip giant smacking balls with Zero. You get a huge power bump. It feels like some may say that's a little bit of launchiness, and to those people I'd say also true, but it does feel very powerful. It's really easy to get a lot of depth, but with that depth comes better clearance over the net and a lot more spin, because that's what Restring Zero is really all about. Yes, it is all about top spin, but part of that top spin is great energy return, and that great energy return leads to a little bit of extra power.
That was nice.
And I know a lot of people are a little bit sus about Restring Zero because it just felt like overnight everyone on YouTube was like, buy this string and use my link. We're all getting paid thousands, millions of dollars from Zero. All of us like sub 10,000 sub channels. Whatever. But I've now tried Zero in several different rackets and given samples out to almost all of my friends. So if you want to be my friend, you get free strings. Good perk. But without any exceptions, everybody is noticing an increase in topspin. Not everyone is feeling like that increase in topspin is worth it, given the trade-offs with a more muted feel and that launchiness, which is also a powerful aspect. But I think if you do keep an open mind, you will feel a pretty big difference with Restring Zero. Okay, so best spin racket of the year is actually tough. There was a lot of great spin-friendly releases. The Pure Aero 98 came out this year. We got new V-cores. Wilson made a super spinny Clash, aka the Shift. We also got probably the most spin-friendly 18x20 racket out there right now, the Slinko Whiteout. There are just too many good options here, and I really think it's time to get a little bit more picky with our criteria. For me, it's about offering an experience that you just can't get with the competition. So is the VCore 95 the most spin-friendly 95? Yeah, probably, but I still think you can probably hit a little more spin with the Pro Staff 97 and you still get at least as much control. Is the VCore 98 the most spin-friendly 98? Honestly, I think it probably is, but there are tons of other 98s that offer very close levels of spin. Is the Whiteout the most spin-friendly 1820? It very well could be, but you could easily find better spin from a decent 16x19. Is the Pure Aero 98 the most spin-friendly racket that Alcaraz uses? Yes, most likely. That was a joke. But I just don't think it gives you a lot of options when it comes to modulating your spin. That high twist weight demands a really linear drive, straight through type of stroke, and it's hard to use your wrist at the last moment to like curl up a banana passing shot or find a dipping cross-court angle. And it's not like I'm really capable of doing these shots with every racket, but it's just that the Pure Aero 98 really reminds me that I can't hit those shots, and I don't like that. So that leaves us with two remaining rackets, the VCore 100 and the Wilson Shift. This segment is interrupted by our reward for the worst racket of 2023. The worst racket of 2023 goes to the Wilson Shift 99, featuring a horribly inconsistent flex, way below average comfort, and probably the most gimmicky marketing of the year. I really think the Wilson Shift sucks. I would rather not play any tennis at all than use the Wilson Shift. It's no wonder there aren't any pros willing to endorse this piece of crap frame, because at the end of the day, I think it's Grisha who said it best.
And I wanted to be like, you know, to make this joke, but it's actually a pretty good racket.
With all my shade over, let's get back to what I think is the best spin racket of the year, the Yonex VCore 100. I feel like so many of these rackets in the 100 score inch category have started to prioritize stability over maneuverability. For example, the Pure Aero 100 has felt clunky and slow ever since they dropped the Aero Pro Drive moniker for the Pure Aero back in 2016. Yes, the Extreme MP is decent, but it's just not quite the same as those old APDs, and the SX300 is just one of the clunkiest and worst swinging frames I've ever tried. I hate that racket. But where Yonex went right for 2023 with the VCore 100 is it feels like they really prioritized maneuverability to help you find those higher swing speeds, to help you find more spin in every shot. And they didn't go and say like, oh, let's go to a 310, 305 swing weight, because nobody can really hit with anything that low. They sacrificed a little bit of twist weight to help you swing fast. They kept their swing weight kind of in the normal range, so when you do contact that ball, you are actually going to be able to deliver a little bit of power and resilience back into the ball. And I have to commend Yonex for that, and I hope that becomes something a little bit more popular in years to come. So I think given all that, the VCore 100 is totally unique feeling in the 100 score inch class, and that's why it wins Best Spin Rack of the Year, even though for my personal game, it's probably my least favorite VCore right now. So spin strings. When it comes to spin strings, I think we all know that Restring Zero is just gonna win. So I don't wanna talk about it that much, and I honestly don't even think it's even close when you consider the other new releases in 2023. I do think part of that is because spin is falling out of fashion. Not only is Rafael Nadal's career almost over, he like never plays anymore, but rec players, by and large, it seems, have really realized that buying new equipment won't give them a free boost in spin. And even if it does, those extra RPMs might not actually translate to more wins or less balls missed. However, I think if you do believe that more RPMs for your game will translate to more wins, then Restring Zero is probably the only string you need. And I know we've all heard enough talk about Restring Zero, but if you want to hear someone talk about Restring Zero, you can check out Time for Tennis on YouTube. So last up, we have overall best, which is pretty exciting. For strings, I think really nothing impressed me that much for my personal game. Nothing was like, woof, this was so good, I think I'm gonna need to switch to this permanently. Yes, Zero is a great string, but for me it's too muted, it's too launchy. Paradox Pro, another exciting, very unique new string, is too far in the other direction. Almost too connected for me. Too precise, too demanding. There was nothing new from Babylon on the polyester front. Headhawk Power, yes, very fun. However, I just don't think the playability duration is long enough to take best overall. I totally missed out on Luxlon's Eco launch. My bad, but from other reviews, it just didn't really seem like those offerings were mind-blowing in any way. Toraline's launch of K-Pro, the Karoo branded hybrid, might be the best release of the year, but does it really count when it's just a combination of old strings sold together in a prepackaged hybrid? I don't think so. So I've decided that nothing deserves to win Best Overall String of the Year. Nothing was good enough. If you force me to pick a winner, I would have to default to Restring Zero, even though I don't want to, because I think it wins Best Power, I think it wins Best Spin, and I think it wins Best Durability if that were a category, but it's not. But now you know what would win if it was. But considering I can't even use Restring 0 as my string of choice, I don't think it can win, and that's that. On the other hand, when it comes to best racket of the year, there are some definite strong contenders. But what means best? Well, to be best, I think it really needs to be unique in the marketplace, offering something you just can't find anywhere else. It has to have come out in 2023, obviously, but I think it should also reflect some improvement over the previous version. For example, let's say we were to give the award to the Gravity Pro. Well, it's basically the exact same racket as before, except with a slightly more muted feel. So it's really just the same racket that came out 2 generations ago in 2019, and I just don't think that's really worth an award, especially since you can easily make the argument that the new one is worse than the old one. And I'm someone who would share that opinion with you. But when you do look at the racket market, I do think there are some pretty important mentions when it comes to best overall racket. The Babolat Pure Aero 98, the Head Radical MP, the Solinco Whiteout 18x20, and the Yonex VCore 95. From a playability perspective, I've said in the past that the Pure Aero 98 is probably the best racket in the world. Problem? It's almost the exact same as the previous version, the Pure Aero VS. And while that does mean that Alcaraz was able to switch to that new version, which definitely adds a lot of cool factor to me, it also means that it just wasn't as much of a generational improvement, and therefore the Aero 98 is out. Next up we have the Radical MP. Again, excellent frame, very strong all-around playability, and a racket that really represents a complete 180 from the steaming garbage dump that was the Graphene Touch version, which frankly sucks so badly I was like, why did they even make the Radical anymore? The problem is when you hit an older Radical like the legendary Liquid Metal Radical MP, the current version just doesn't feel like a perfect spiritual successor. It's like how the newest M3 feels like a completely different car from the old M3, and it's so different than people are like, well, is this a real M3 or is this something else now? What does feel like a spiritual successor to these old Radicals is the Solinco Whiteout 18x20, which I think is crazy. I think the Whiteout offers even more versatility compared to the newest Radicals. With the Radical, it's pretty hard to play a top spinny, loopy, semi-defensive game. The Whiteout, on the other hand, will do that all day. It's a complete chameleon to your play style. It'll serve volley, it'll baseline bash, it'll knife slices, loop moonballs, or slap flat bombs, all while remaining so connected to the ball and offering immense string bed predictability while being just comfortable enough, I think, for most players. Finally, our last option, the VCore 95. This racket went through huge practical changes for 2023 to make it easier to use while simultaneously increasing control and feel. Usually you cannot increase control and feel while also bumping forgiveness and spin. However, somehow, Yonex has done that with the new 95, and they deserve some serious props for that. Another thing, typically when I finish a YouTube video review, I just don't touch that racket again. I have so much other things going on, new rackets coming in all the time. For me to want to go back to something takes a big effort. Even frames as great as the T-Fight 305 or the Pro Stock 97, I just sold them and I didn't regret it, never felt another urge to hit with them again. Not so with the VCore 95. This is a racket I just couldn't will myself to sell, even though I probably should, as I don't play with it that much. But every couple of months I find myself picking up a new set of strings, moseying over to my stringing machine, and boom, hitting with that the next day. So the best racket of the year video is brought to you by one of our best sponsors this year. Of all our sponsors, thank you so much to all of them. You all know we wouldn't be here whether you sponsored just one video or if you managed to sponsor a couple. Thank you so much. Tennis rackets are expensive to keep these reviews going. We wouldn't be here without our sponsors, but there's one sponsor that's been with us every month for this entire year, and that's Direct Tennis. What I love about Direct Tennis is the community engagement they bring to tennis, connecting home stringers to people like you who need connecting home stringers in the community to everyday hitters who need their strings done is not an easy task, but that's what Direct Tennis is here to do. If you need your racket strung, you've had a bad experience at a big box store, and you want like a sole proprietor, someone who owns their own business, who really stands behind their work, signing up for Direct Tennis will help you find that person. And they've got a big update coming, so stay tuned, because it's gonna feel like the tennis world has never been more connected with the help of Direct Tennis. Links are in the description. If you want to support the channel, please check out Direct Tennis, iPhone, Android, or on their website. Thanks for Direct Tennis, and welcome to the best racket of 2023.
So viewers, this is the racket that I think is the actual best racket of the year. It's the Slinko Whiteout 18x20 XTD. And there's one simple reason that the XTD takes it. It's because it's simply the best extra length racket you can buy. And it really doesn't feel like it's extra length. It is so easy to get a handle on, but it maintains all of those same great features that make the 1820 Whiteout one of my favorite rackets of the year and my overall racket of choice. Control is great. The playability is super consistent throughout the string bed. Compared to the 28-incher, it's more solid feeling, it's more stable off center. A little bit less power, but when you have that extra inch, you can get that kind of shot back in the court. And then you can get another one back in the court. The level of connection you have to the ball is among the best on the market today, but then you get the power of the extra half inch. It's like a win, 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 win. I'm a little gassed from that point, to be honest. You know, I think if you're gonna take a risk on a racket, you want it to be good, but you also want it to offer you a unique experience in the market. Spending your money on the Whiteout XTD 1820 is a great way to go. I thought that guy was gonna hit my car. Oh, spin is great. You can modulate flat, spin, slice super easily. You can see there's no issues with maneuverability. My chicken wing forehand can get the ball up and down with a whip, no problem. And because that was a great drop shot, the touch is also good. I would say here's the downsides when you're looking at this racket, because no racket is perfect. This is no exception. It's super string sensitive. If you pick a string that's too stiff or too low powered, like an older polyester, something like Slinko Outlast, it really kills the racket. Like if you string it too tight, if you use something too dead, there's absolutely nothing off center. This was something I experienced with Grapplesnake Paradox Pro, where it just like screwed me up bad. So if you're looking for strings to go with your racket of the year, knowing how string sensitive it is, what should you choose? Well, anything from the big three by Slinko, Tour Bite, Hyper G, Confidential, those all play totally great. Restring 0 is good if you need a little more lift, but if you're, 4.5 plus kind of player, I don't think you're gonna like it. It also kind of mutes the feel. Oh! Toraline Wasabi plays great in these as well, and part of that is because it's a bit of a softer string. Softer, slightly more powerful strings with a decent level of ball bite, so a mild shape, those are the strings you want for the whiteout 1820. And with that out ball, I think that's it. Let me know what your racket of the year was for 2023. I know I missed a lot of strings, but let me know what I need to try for 2024. Thanks so much for watching TennCom over this last year. We've grown a lot and hopefully we can grow a little more into 2024.